The Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 1:21. Our next remote location is Tensaw Parish. Mr. Earley, is there someone from Tensaw staff at Tensaw in the room with you today? You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Yeah, she coming now. She coming now.
Okay. Good.
Millie. Oh, Millie.
It's all right. Well, when she comes in, I'll ask her to introduce herself.
Right.
Mr. Earley, let me explain our process to you. I'm going to go over a few things. Would you please give me your full name and DOC number?
My name is Curtis Earley, and my DOC number is 751276.
Mr. Earley, let me explain our process to you. I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who wish to have input to speak. Currently asking to speak today is Toya Taylor, your sister, and Edna Earley, your mother. Also present is a friend who does not wish to speak, Ayana Harding. In speaking in opposition will be Mr. Randy Meyer with the Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office. At the end of that hearing in discussion, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand how our procedure works?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a matter of Curtis Earley, DOC number 751276, date of birth April the 30th, 1973. He's a third-class felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of September the 3rd of 2020. He is not eligible for good time, and he has a full term date of June the 3rd of 2024. He is currently serving a 5-year sentence for pandering after having been adjudicated a habitual offender, being sentenced on January the 16th of 2020. Is that information fairly accurate, Mr. Earley?
Yes, sir. Besides, they posted the year supposed to be 1993. I think you had said like 1970 or something. The year I was born.
The year is supposed to be what?
1993.
Well, your record reflects that on January the 16th of 2020, you were sentenced to 5 years as a habitual offender on the charge of pandering.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right. Your case has been assigned to Miss Bonnie Jackson. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Earley.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
How much time have you actually served on this charge?
I've served 50 months. I've been in jail since 2019, 50 months.
Okay. What's pandering?
Man, I was involved with a girl who was selling herself, selling her body, and I was aware of what was going on.
What does that mean? You were involved with a girl that was selling her body.
I was in altercation with a girl who was selling her body, and I was using drugs and money just to get up there and take her to do those things.
Usually someone charged with pandering is kind of the pimp, pimping women out for sex and taking part of the money, or if not all of the money. That's what pandering is.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's what the charge is considered of. But I wouldn't consider myself as being a pimp to the girl. But I did know what was going on and what was involved, and I was just taking her to do those things.
Why were you taking her to do those things? What was in it? What was in it for you to take her to do those things?
Drugs and money.
She was giving you drugs and money? I mean, I'm trying to understand what were you getting out of her prostituting herself?
Money. I was just getting money from her.
And why would she give you money?
To take her to do those things, to take her to go handle her business and do those things.
Could have taken Uber. Could have taken Uber. Could have taken herself. Why'd she need you to take her?
Because we was having sex.
And how old was she?
She was 22.
Is that the only girl that you were involved with who was committing prostitution?
Yes, ma'am.
You completed Steve Foyle since your last hearing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I completed the 9-month program, and I also stayed and did the phase 4 of the program.
Sex offenders?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm not a sex offender.
Well, what Steve Foyle program did you take? Help me understand.
I took MRT, victim awareness, everything that the Steve Hard program is to offer. I basically took it. I took that, the 9-month program, and I stayed and did the phase 4 program. I took anger management, MRT, risk management, living in balance. I took thinking for a change, parenting, everything.
Well, what'd you get out of victim? Was there a victim in your case?
Well, if y'all consider well, I would consider. I would. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Was a victim in the case.
Who was the victim?
Well, I say the victim was the woman in my family. I really consider my family as being a victim because the things that I was doing, I really abandoned my family. So I really consider, as I took that class of victim awareness, I just really considered like me putting my family as the victim. That's how I did the program because I really abandoned my family and I left to do those things.
So the person who was engaging in the sex act, you don't consider that person a victim?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I don't, because the other thing was already going on once I came about, and I'm pretty sure they might still be going on. So I just know the person who really took the loss out of everything, out of all the situation, was me and my family, and I consider them as being a victim for leaving.
Why do you think people become involved when they become involved in prostitution?
Well, I think some people just start out dancing or doing those things to just make quick money.
Do you think they have substance abuse issue?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do.
I think there's sometimes drug addicts who prostitute to support a drug habit.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I could say that.
Do you think sometimes they've been the victim of sexual abuse, perhaps as a child or teenager?
Some of them have been.
Well, how well did you know the person that was performing the sex acts? How well did you know that person?
I ain't know it too well. We was dating. We was talking for a couple of months, and I just started really engaging and taking her to do those things for extra money around the house and helping us out and doing it. And I ain't know her to what her childhood to like say.
Did you have a job?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your job?
I was just working at a gas station.
And so you thought it was okay, well, go turn tricks to get some extra money for the house?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to
At the time,
understand your thinking. What? Okay.
yes, man. At the time, I thought that was okay. That's why I was doing.
What do you think now?
So now I really understand, like, all the time that I wasted and all the things that came about from me and my family, that I really truly understand that what I did was wrong. And I accept all my flaws from what I did and where I come from. So now I understand, like, what my family has for me, like I really have a job and everything lined up for me. So I really understand that I can't do the things that I once did. The person that I once was, I had to put him behind me. And I had to wake up as a new man each day, and I had to start over. And I had to know that things will be bad and things will be rough, and we will go through tough times in life. But I can't resort to doing something quick that land me somewhere here for longer or dead. So I have to put all my eggs in the hatch and start from fresh. And since I've been in jail, not only did I take the program, but I really started a new career that I want to reach out and start once I do come home. I've been cutting hair. I've been starting to cut hair. So I've been cutting, like at least I try to cut a couple of heads a week. So I started cutting hair. and once I come home, I plan on getting me a job and going to barber school and learn more about the business.
Well, I have the synopsis of the police report. And the young lady who was arrested for prostitution at the time that you were arrested for human trafficking, she was 18 years old.
I thought you asked me how old she is now.
No, that's not what you thought. She was 18 years old. And do you honestly believe that she wanted to be prostitute?
Yes, man. I met her in a strip club.
And then that progressed into what?
Us dating and talking, and she getting money from clients.
You have convictions out of Mississippi. What was that for?
But riding on the highway, I had a gun on me.
And what was the charge?
It was a possession of a firearm.
Was it illegal for you to possess a firearm? I mean, possessing a firearm is not in and of itself a criminal activity.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It was illegal for me to carry the firearm
Because,
because I was a felon.
and was that because of the drug charge out of Arkansas?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that where are you from?
I'm from Arkansas, West Memphis, Arkansas.
So how'd you end up in Louisiana with this 18-year-old girl prostituting?
We started dating, and I started coming down here, and we just went on from there.
Whoa. You're from Arkansas.
Yes, ma'am.
What brought you to Baton Rouge or Louisiana, rather?
The girl is from Arkansas as well.
I understand. So how did you end up in Louisiana? Neither one of you had any ties or connection to Louisiana. So why were you in Louisiana?
She brought me down. Well, I came down here with her. She had told me to come down here.
And Mr. Earley, let me just tell you something. I've been a judge for 28 years.
You know.
And I understand how people move from state to state taking girls and doing acts of prostitution. We've had a lot of prostitution stings in Baton Rouge. And people are from out of town and they come to other places for purposes of engaging in prostitution.
Yes, man, I understand what you're saying, but I had came to New Orleans, man. I wasn't in Baton Rouge. I had came to New
You
Orleans.
don't
and
have to be Baton Rouge. It's the fact that you're bringing somebody from out of state to have sex with people in motel.
Yes, man. See, I came to New Orleans on a vacation trip, and I knew girl from around our way, and we started talking, and then we just went from there. I knew her from West Memphis, and she was down there dancing, and we just went on from there.
West Memphis?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were in West Memphis prostituting people?
No, ma'am. West Memphis is Arkansas. That's where I'm from. That's where the girl is from too. But she was dancing in New Orleans, and when I seen her in New Orleans, we started to talk, and we rekindled on talking, and then we started dating, and I came down here with her because she already had everything. She has things going on already.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from your supporters. Let's hear from Ms. Toya Taylor, your sister. Ms. Taylor?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. If you tell us your name and tell us what you'd like us to know.
My name is Toya Taylor, and I'm Curtis's oldest sister. And I would like the court to know that over the time that my brother has been in jail, been incarcerated, we talk about his charges. We talk about what led him there. We lost our father during the time that he's been locked up. And I also lost my son, and he was really close to Curtis. And me being the person I am, I'm very direct about things. And I told him that the life that he was living is only two places that it will lead you: in jail or dead. And my son used to travel up and down the interstate with these little girls, just the same way Lil Curtis done. And my son was killed out here in the streets, and he lost a lot of his friends. And I told him that the actions that he took were wrong, but God don't make no mistakes. And he allowed his life to be spared for him to change his life around. And over the years, I've noticed growth in him. He's become a totally different man than what he was over a year ago or 2 years ago when we did the first hearing. I've noticed a whole lot of growth, a whole lot of maturity. I am a manager at TA Truck Service in West Memphis, Arkansas. We have a felony rehabilitation program here in my job where we allow convicted felons to get back into the workplace. And I have talked to the manager that's above me, and we are willing, once my brother is paroled, whenever that may be, or timed out, we are willing to give him a second chance to become a productive citizen in the society. And he has a little girl, and I really want him to be a father to his child, because we're losing too many young men to the prison systems and to the streets. And I tried my best to talk to my brother as much as I can to show him that he's given another chance. Even while he's locked up, I told him to use that time to better himself and to approach where he went wrong in the situation and stop blaming someone else, but take accountability for what he's done. And I've noticed that growth in him.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate your comments. We'll now hear from Ms. Earley, who is Mr. Earley's mother. Ms. Earley? You're on mute, ma'am. You need to unmute your microphone. Still on mute. Good.
My name is Edna Earley. Curtis is my baby son. I have two. Since he's been in jail, I've been helping to raise his daughter, which is sitting here beside me. She respects her dad to the highest. He calls her every week or twice a week to talk to her. And she just misses her dad. And he always have a place with me. He always do. And like Toya said, I have saw so much growth in him in the last 2 or 3 years. He's been in jail. His daughter's Kamari. She's now 9 years old. He hadn't saw her. I mean, he hadn't been with her here to raise her since she was what, five. He went to her kindergarten graduation, and then after that, he's been locked up. I really want him to come and help be a part of her life. She just needs him. And I think he's ready to, and she respects him highly. She respects her dad highly.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate your comments. Now we'll hear from Mr. Randy Meyer with the Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office.
Good afternoon. First off, let me say the commitment in the record shows that he was convicted of human trafficking. There is a note in the record, and I was, on the clerk's website trying to figure this out, stating that there's a note that there was an amendment to pandering, but the commitment actually says human trafficking, which is a sex offense. And I noted in the record he was denied good time on a number of occasions because of a sex offense. And the human trafficking is a sex offense under the statute 15-541. I could not find a minute entry or there's no transcript. So, the transcript would control on that discrepancy. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I don't know the answer to what the actual disposition is, but the commitment does show human trafficking. In listening to Mr. Earley, I try to come with an open mind and listen to what the inmates say, what's been going on with him, what happened with the offense. And one thing that concerned me is what his sister said. His sister talked about how, a terrible thing happened to her son who was bringing girls up and down the highway. I assume for prostitution is what it sounded like, which is, she said the same thing that her brother was doing. It's not what he says he was doing. He said it was a girlfriend that he met here and he was coming down here to do something with her, to get with her, not that he was involved in pimping her in the prostitution trade. I was also concerned that it appeared that his concern for the victims was more the victim being his family, not Miss Jones, not the actual victim of this particular crime. Looking at his criminal record, it concerns me along with the offense that he committed here. He's got a kidnapping arrest, 4 firearm arrests. A few of those were stolen firearms, 4 domestic violence, and I think at least 1 was by strangulation. And then the human trafficking charge that he is currently involved in. They don't have a disciplinary report. I didn't see a disciplinary report in the record, but it is noted at the last hearing here, he had a disciplinary report and was denied. With that charge, I think sex offender treatment would benefit him, based on his past and what he's been doing. And looking at the programming that he has done, according to this record, it was only strengthening families and Steve Harp. So I think more programming would be appropriate for him to do to try to get him to turn the corner and understand what he's done and be able to articulate the crimes he's committed to this board and understand what he's done and how he needs to change himself. So for all those reasons, we are opposed to his request for parole.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. Mr. Meyer, our records do reflect that there was a handwritten amendment on the Bill of Information on January 16th of 2020, signed by Miss Emily Booth, Assistant District Attorney, reducing the charge to pandering.
I did see that, but then the commitment that same day said.
I understand.
And that's why I was hoping they had some kind of a transcript or amended entry that would, but I couldn't find it. So I was just bringing that to y'all's attention.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Mr. Earley, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that, just get a note to the board that I have all my programs and certificates with me. I did complete the Steve Hall program and the MAT program, also the parenting program. I completed every program that it was. Like, I really, since I've been in jail, I never stopped trying to change. I never stopped trying to change. Like, no matter what the decision was, I always knew that I knew that I was always gonna get another chance to come out and to scrape myself up and to do the things that I really need to do. So I wrote down me a plan. I had me a 1 to 10 year goal plan that I got from MRT, from the Steve Hall program. And I would just like you guys to know that, like, I'm just coming straight home to be with my family and just get a job. And like I say, start on me cutting hair and open up me a bank account and really just start to get my life back on track. The time that I didn't just sit in jail. I stayed away from trouble as much as I could. I ain't getting in no trouble, no violence. All I did was just read, exercise, and just always worried about the next day, just waking up and just doing better.
Thank you, Mr. Earley. We appreciate your comments. Panel ready to vote? Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Earley, I do commend you for taking all the programs that you've taken, and that you've stayed out of trouble and a pretty decent record while in the institution. But it's one thing to be in a program. It's a totally different thing from a program being you. And it bothers me greatly. I don't think you've been honest with this board. You were taking this child around, I mean, she was an adult, but I mean, this teenage girl around, and you were pimping her out. And again, young women in that situation come from very desperate circumstances. Sometimes there's violence involved with them being in a relationship with a pimp. And I see all these arrests for domestic violence, which may very well have been those girls that you were forcing into acts of prostitution. And as I sat here today listening to you, I don't think you thought you, to this day, think there was anything wrong with what you did. You could not acknowledge that those young women were victims and that you had victimized them. You took advantage of whatever their difficulties were, whether it was drug addiction, whether it was homelessness, whether it was having been sexually abused in the past, and you did that for money. You wanted to make money, and you put those girls in those situations where their lives will never be the same, and you don't get it. You don't see anything wrong with that. I appreciate your sister's honesty because she acknowledged that's what y'all were doing. Y'all were driving these girls up and down the road, state to state, and pimping them out.
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm talking now. So for me, I don't think you're ready. I don't even know if you have enough time to go through the Steve Hoyle sex offender treatment program, but you need to understand the harm that you have caused to these. They probably were broken already, and you took advantage of their brokenness for money. And you don't see anything wrong with that. You don't realize how despicable that is to pimp these girls out for money. So my vote today is to deny your full term date is June 3rd, 2024. I suggest you enroll in the Steve Hoyle Substance Abuse Sex Offender Treatment Program.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Earley, I want to commend you on the last hearing. You got so upset and you left before we finished the voting. So you are controlling yourself. You are doing better. You are growing. It is about staying out. I know you're in a hurry to get out, but we want you to be able to stay out when you get out this time. But my vote is the same for the same reason. I hope you get a chance to take victim awareness. You could benefit from that.
I took victim.
We are voting. You've had your opportunity to talk.
I'm done.
Mr. Early, you got a lot more work to do. I agree with everything Ms. Jackson has said. My vote likewise is to deny. Good luck to you.
I did victim awareness. I took all the class that y'all telling me to take. The people at Steve Hall said that I'm charged under panel. I'm not charged under sex offense. The people won't even put me in it. I took the 9 months deal.
Mr. Early, we have voted. This hearing is over. Good luck to you.
That was quite satisfying. Sir, you obviously have to take victim awareness again because apparently you need help understanding that the only victims in your crime are not your family. Are you nuts? What? Oh my gosh, you think you hear it all and then you see something new. We'll watch another one after this. But I just have to say, this was, well, I'm glad that Miss Jackson had this case. She was not having any piece of it. And, you know, it starts off with just trying to understand what it is that he did. And he's just trying to lie every step of the way through it. I was involved with the girl and she was selling her body and I got money and drugs and it's like, we know what you were doing, dude. How old was she? 23. And Miss Jackson calls him out on a lie. Not how old is she today? It's how old was she then? She was 18. Yeah, she is considered an adult, but she's far from it. Let's be real. And Miss Jackson's trying to get. So why were you taking her around? Why didn't she just take an Uber or drive herself? He's like, you know, like they're not dumb. The board's not dumb. You want to get parole. Don't come out there and think you can be so smart and manipulative because you're just not. You showed your intelligence here, not the. Who is the victim? The victim was my family. Are you kidding me? You mean the 18-year-old girl that you forced into this is not a victim? Oh, I didn't force her. She was dancing in the club already. That's how we met. And oh, please. You know, it's a different kind of. It's a different kind of. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like a different class. It's not like a cockroach, like a chomo, right? But there are still people that are just taking advantage. And you could see it from his own point of view. He truly does not believe that she's a victim. He truly believes that he's done nothing wrong, that he's a victim of the court system, that she's gonna go and do it anyways without him, and she probably is. But you know, I've seen a lot of I don't know if you have too, but I've seen a lot of interviews of these pimps in Softwood Underbelly, And Mark, who does soft white underbelly, I don't know. It's my opinion. Maybe he seems to really like pimps. Like he doesn't seem to think that all of them are wrong, depending on their styles or depending on how they treat. And I mean, I just disagree. I see these men that control these women through the most horrible of ways and take all their money, and it makes no sense. It's like, how is that? Anyways, I'll be beating a dead horse by even going into it, but then I thought it was kind of interesting how his sister gets up and gives a whole speech without even realizing that what she was saying was like incriminating her brother. I don't know if she realized that or not. And did she get off the camera after that? I could just imagine the next jail phone call. He is probably going to rip her a new one. Like, are you kidding me? You're like telling me that my other brother was doing the exact same, was doing the exact same thing, and it's yeah. And then he has all these other charges. He has 4 firearm charges, including stolen firearms. He has kidnapping. He has domestic violence with it, strangulation. And like Miss Jackson said, that's probably other women that you were forcing into this stuff. And yeah, I don't feel... It's actually, what's fascinating to me is that he could go through Steve Hoyle, spend all this time in prison, and not just be smart enough to fake it. Just not have some type of IQ to go in there and say the victim was my was the 18-year-old girl that I was prostituting. The idea that he won't even fake it is just another level. Makes you wonder what's he doing all this time in there, not thinking about. I don't know. It's confusing. It was great seeing Randy Meyer here handling one of these cases. I thought he did a great job, and I really like where he was trying to go to make him take sex offender classes. Just because I think for him to have been put in that category would have been a low blow. Karma kind of hitting him in the face, and if he had somehow gotten registered as one, it would just change his status in prison pretty deeply, and that would have been a pretty strong I guess karma. But then, and they're like, well, he has no write-ups, no fighting write-ups. It's like, yeah, that's because they're not vulnerable 18-year-old girls that you can boss around. The people in prison can fight back, so I guess that's why you don't have write-ups. Yeah, this is interesting. We've seen a case. Maybe I'll put it up there somewhere, of a woman doing this. It was a woman pimp. That was a fascinating one. But I don't know if we've seen any other cases that I can recall. Where the man is in there for doing this kind of crime, which is interesting. I guess it's a hard case to prosecute. But let's see the next one. Let's do this as the next one.
Committee of Parole is called back to order. The time is 10:19. Our next case is going to be Mr. Brenden Jackson. Mr. Jackson, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Brenden Cole Jackson, DOC number 724-487.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson, let me explain our process. This is a parole revocation hearing. I'm going to cover with you in a few moments your parole revocation questionnaire. Then I'm going to go over the allegations that allege the reasons why you're here before us today, and allege that you violated your parole. Then we're going to have a hearing We're going to question you. You'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say before the board, and then we vote. You understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
Do you have your parole questionnaire in front of you, parole revocation questionnaire in front of you, sir?
Yes, sir, I do.
Would you take a look at the bottom? Is that your signature dated, it looks like May the 17th of 2023?
Yes, sir, that's my signature.
And now are all of those questions, when you answered them, accurate and correct?
Yes, sir.
And are they still accurate and correct today?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready to have your hearing this morning?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, I'm going to read you the allegations against you, and I'm going to ask you either to plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement to each of the charges, okay?
Yes, sir.
Number 4, you are alleged to have been in possession of a dangerous weapon as evidenced by your arrest on January the 26th of 2023 for possession of a weapon by Pennsylvania probation and parole. When questioned about the bladed weapons in your home, you advised agents they are for your protection because you owe people money. How do you plead to that charge?
I'm guilty with the statement.
All right. Well, you'll get to your statement in just a second.
Yes, sir.
The next allegation is numbered 5. You are alleged to have been in possession of a dangerous weapon as evidenced by your arrest of January the 26th, 2023 for possession of a weapon by Pennsylvania probation and parole. When questioned about the bladed weapon in your home, you advised agents they are for your protection because you owe people money. Looks to me like it's the same allegation, but
Yes, sir.
same plea, guilty with a statement.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jackson, your case, is this your case? Mr. Jackson, your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. She will begin our interview process. Would you answer any questions she may have?
Yes, sir, I will.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead and give us your statement at this time.
All right, well, I wasn't asked about the bladed weapons. It was actually the baseball bat was what I said was for my protection. That's
Oh.
That's all it was. The machete was in the house. I was outside chopping wood the other day. They came, I let him in, you know, I tried to be honest as I could with him. And he still arrested me. So I wasn't trying to hide anything. I wasn't trying to do anything that I wasn't supposed to.
So you
that's all.
did say that it was for your protection because you owed somebody money.
Yes, ma'am, I did, the baseball bat. But it sounds a lot worse than it really is, I promise you. It's a long story.
We got time.
Yeah, tell us.
We got time.
Good, I'm glad. Okay. Well, I had actually had a friend, well, he was supposed to be a family friend, working on, I had an old vehicle and he had put in some work on it and I didn't pay him on time. So he threatened me. And I just kept the baseball bat in my room, you know, because he on several occasions, he had come to the house, beating on the door, you know, said he was going to kick the door down. So I know that as a felon, I can't have a firearm. I should have read my parole packet a little bit better and I would have not had a baseball bat either, but I didn't, and I apologize.
Now, they sent us pictures of the 3 knives that they found, the 2 knives with all the tapes around it.
The handle was broken on one of the knives, so I just taped it. I work construction, and what they deem a weapon and what I deem a weapon, I guess, are completely different.
So that knife is a construction work knife?
The one that I had, yes, ma'am, is just a pocket knife. I mean, I'm so used to working, and then especially being from Louisiana, I feel naked without a pocket knife. It's not, I don't see that as protection or as a weapon or anything like that. Just, you know, you never know when you need it, you know, for simple things.
Okay, and the like you said, the other weapon, I think it was found in the yard. The other weapon was found in the yard.
Yes, ma'am. I think so. The machete, I think.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah, yes. Or in the bedroom. I can't remember honestly. It's not. I know I have some paperwork that said it was found in the bedroom.
So one of your weapons, one of your tools, I guess we could call them tools, right? Based on your view, right? They were tools.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. The machete and the pocket knives were just tools.
Okay, and one of them was found under the mattress, right?
Yes, ma'am. The machete. I had just come in. I was in a rush, come in to eat dinner, and I just put it in. There was evidence I had an axe in the yard as well. I was chopping wood, you know, so I don't understand why he chose and picked which ones he wanted to write down as weapons and which ones he didn't.
Okay. Do you remember ever having a conversation with your officer about knives being a weapon?
No, ma'am. This was the first time I had ever had any interaction with this parole officer. Prior to him coming to my house, I had 2 parole officers. I was drug tested, never failed. I always complied. When they wanted me to come in, I came in. You know, I even had a permit to come back down to Louisiana from Pennsylvania for 2 weeks for Christmas. And that passed with no complication. I called him when I came down. I called him when I got back. It was just this third parole officer, I think his name is Chris McConaughey. He had, I don't know, he was not very happy with me for whatever reason. I had never
Wait,
been that before, never
the
talked to
reports,
him. This was the first time.
state that you, your supervision was uneventful until this arrest. It does state that.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you were successful today, would you be able to go back to Pennsylvania
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
and live with your wife, with Madison?
Yes, ma'am. And we actually have a brand new daughter. She was born June 20th.
Well, congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you. As well as my 7-year-old son. I can't forget him.
And what about employment?
Like I said, I've worked construction so long, I have so many connections up there that I can get a job almost in the first week, I can guarantee.
Louisiana paid $5,967 to have you brought back here.
If I need to, I can pay every penny back.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Jackson, let me ask you, where were you living? What was this, a house, an apartment? What was this?
It's a trailer, but it's a double wide, it's not movable. You know, we have almost 6 acres of land. 3.5 of them are wooded.
Okay, now I'm more interested in the house because my question is, you know, I understand maybe the knife for construction work, I understand the bat.
Right.
But you know, a machete in your bed, I mean, they found this machete in your bed. That's a little surprising to me or concerning to me. I mean, you were outside using, you know, I mean, I've got tools outside, but I don't put them in my bed, you know. So tell me why the machete was found in the bed between the mattress and the box spring or the spring.
That was just where I assumed my son would not go and get it. Honestly, to be honest with you, I came in, my wife was cooking, I went to go change, I'm changing, it just was in my hand, you know, and I put it in between the box spring and the mattress, and that's just where I had left it. We went to sleep that night, and the next day, you know, this all transpired.
So it had been between the mattress and the box spring overnight. It just wasn't, you just didn't stick it in there.
Honestly, I forgot about it. No, sir, I didn't. I just getting lost in the actions, you know, eating dinner, watching TV. I had forgotten.
Where do you normally keep the machete?
Sir?
Where do you normally keep that machete?
In the garage. We have a separate 3-car garage, and that's where I usually keep. That's where the axe, you know, the machete, stuff like that goes. You know, where somewhere my son won't have easy access to. That's why I put it in my bed. I put it in between the mattresses so that he wouldn't find it. And that was careless on my part, and I apologize.
Well, they said the handle was sticking out. It was obvious where it was.
Right.
That's concerning to me. I mean, I understand all of your other explanations, but it's concerning to me that there would be a machete, fairly long bladed machete, you know, stuck in your mattress. Okay, that's all the questions. Jackson, any questions?
How did you sign? How was your son when you got arrested?
My son was 1 year old when I was arrested. Originally, this time he's 7.
No, what time, how was it when you got arrested on the parole?
On this parole violation right here?
Huh?
Okay, he was 6 years old. He just turned 7 in March.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
I think I've said everything I need to, you said.
All right, thank you, sir.
I recommend executive session, discuss confidential matter made in this case.
Okay. There's been a there's been a motion for executive session in a second. Please call the roll.
Tony Marabella.
Yes.
Pearl White.
Yes.
Brenden Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Jackson, there's been a request for executive session and a unanimous vote to go into executive session. We're going to be at a short recess to discuss matters of a confidential nature. We will return momentarily with our decision. Thank you, sir.
Throw this in my garbage, shouldn't I? Yep. I guess I need to throw this thing in the trash. It's now like becoming a running joke that it seems to want to work sometimes. I did a recording the other day where the whole recording was fuzzy. That was frustrating. So, man, I don't know. I tried finding his information and I couldn't. But now we could fast forward this, but I'm curious to see what y'all are thinking. Is he going to actually get a second chance? His story about hiding a machete really underneath his mattress so his son wouldn't get it is so, to me, unbelievable. He says it so confidently, too. It seems to me that he has got to be in fear for his life if he has a machete under his mattress. Wow. Do you think they're going to give him a chance?
Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 10:32. I think the panel is ready to vote, Mr. Jackson. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Jackson, you presented well today. And again, the probation department said that up until this incident, your supervision was uneventful. And that speaks volumes to me. So my vote is to do not revoke and return you to supervision. I want you to report weekly to probation parole for about 3 weeks to make sure you get acclimated to what they need you to do and not what, that's wishes to you, sir.
Judge?
All right, my vote likewise is do not revoke, return to supervision.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, you have 2 votes to not revoke and return you to supervision with a condition that you report weekly for 3 weeks to your parole officer. I agree with my colleagues. I will caution you on one thing. I'm not sure what the laws of Pennsylvania are, but apparently they consider the things you had to be dangerous weapons. So make sure that you understand completely what those rules are, okay? Maybe in those first 3 weeks when you report regularly, you can question that and you can explain to them what you need and why you need that equipment. Maybe they can tell you, okay, fine, but you need to keep it in your garage or you need to keep it here somewhere, okay? You have 3 votes not to revoke and to return you to supervision. The one condition will be that you report weekly to your parole officer for the first 3 weeks when you return. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Man, well, on one hand, I am
Video program, the time is 12:23. Our next case is Mr.
Gosh, I have too many tabs open, so sorry about that. We'll do one more case after this, and so let's hang in there. But I'm I'm just surprised, I guess. I mean, he had a machete in his underneath his bed, and clearly to me, I mean, it seems to be there for protection. The guy is scared, and the whole story about his kid, I don't know, I have a hard time buying into it. But I am happy that I think the bottom line is I'm happy that they let him back in. It wouldn't benefit anyone not to. He's not using the weapons to go out and hurt other people. Maybe his story is somewhat true. He brought the machete into his bedroom from work, and then instead of putting it on a top of the fridge or on top of he just slipped it under his bed and the handle was sticking out. So I mean, the other scenario is probably that the parole people were coming into the house and he thought, oh no, this is a weapon. So he ran and tried to hide it under the bed and didn't do a very good job of it. I don't really get it. And when your freedom's on the line, you would think just don't do things that can get you busted up. But he did say it was a new parole officer, so maybe he felt he had some type of relationship with the other parole officer, and this one was different. But I mean, I think overall, I'm happy that he was released and not revoked. What is really upsetting, and I think is insightful to this from this hearing for me, is the idea that so they give a compact to send him to another state. And then the state of Louisiana incurs $5,967 to bring him back when he violates. And if you look at that number, you say, what? So every time you send an inmate to another state to get them out of there and they violate, you're going to incur fees of $6,000 to bring them back? Forget about mindless spending, obviously. So they had to send in multiple officers there. Then they had to stay in hotels and they had to send multiple officers back. I still don't get how you can get $6,000. I mean, are they sending private planes? Like, what is it? I don't. And I wonder if I were to look at the budget sheet, I don't know if you hear the raining, but I'm in an RV and I love the sound of rain in an RV. There's nothing more soothing than that sound to me. Can you pick it up? I don't know, there's something beautiful about it for me. I can go to sleep with this sound forever. But I actually do use on my phone an app where I play Rain on RV. Doesn't sound like the real thing, but it's second best. Anyways, I digress. So, it's made to the public. This is where your taxpayer dollars are going. To send an inmate on parole that has X% chance of, and if he does violate, then it's $6,000 to send him here, lock him up, then all the money that he incurred being locked up in this jail, just so that he could eventually get his day in front of the parole board to say, well, I believe you that knife was the story under your bed and machete, sorry, and you can go back to Pennsylvania. And if you revoke again, well, it's another $6,000 to the state, but who's counting? I do wonder. We see them send people to Texas a lot. So every time they were to offend and they had to come back, they would cost $6,000. It's just crazy. And in this case, just a waste of money, obviously, like the people who violated his parole, they thought they're such heroes, right? They caught him with some knives, like a baseball bat, and then the machete in the bed. Maybe if the machete under the bed wasn't there, they would have been lenient. But I agree, the machete under the bed is a bit sketchy. But the man seems to have already gotten himself into some mess. There are people that want to get him, and he can't have a weapon, and that's his weapon. I believe that he has it there to protect himself which I guess what do you do if you are a felon and you messed up? I would just say, dude, pay the freaking guy his money. Find a way to get the money. If you owe him money, then you owe him money, and go pay it. Don't risk your freedom and all the money it costs you and your family because you were gone. So just the immaturity level, and I wish the board would have addressed that, but they didn't. Anyways, we'll do another hearing. You know, when people who owe people money, it really does bother me. It's like if you have a deal, a contractual deal, and you don't pay, and the guy doesn't pay, it's like you're just, you know, the world needs to go around with people trusting each other, people paying their debts.
Yeah.
We, the Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 2:13. Our next location is Southwest Work Release. You, Mr. Wimberly?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wimberly, is there anyone in there with you from the staff at Southwest?
No, it's just me.
All right. Mr. Wimberly, would you give us your full name and DOC number?
John Cole Wimberly, 565-387.
Mr. Wimberly, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record. And then we're going to have a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow those persons who wish to have input to speak. Currently, we have speaking in your behalf today, your wife, Candace Wimberly. At the end of that hearing and interview, you'll have an opportunity to address the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our process?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wimberly, this is the matter of John C. Wimberly, DOC number 565-387, date of birth September the 1st of 1986. He is a third felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of September the 9th of 2023 and an adjusted good time date of September the 8th of 2024. He has a full term date of March the 9th of 2031. He is currently serving a 10-year sentence on the charges of felony theft, simple burglary, felony theft, illegal possession of stolen things, and another simple burglary charge. All sentences having been imposed on December the 2nd of 2021. Mr. Wimberly, is all that information accurate?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wimberly, your case was assigned to me, so I'll begin the interview process. Mr. Wimberly, how old are you, sir?
36.
How long have you been in prison on these charges at this time?
28 months.
Tell me a little bit about your education, Mr. Wimberly. How far did you go in school?
I graduated
When did you graduate high school?
2005.
All right. Any further education? Go to college, community college, or anything like that?
No, sir. I took ABC classes of combination pipe welding, pipe lining, and stuff like that. I've been welding for the last 12 years.
Okay. And so your work has been a welder?
Yes, sir. Pipelines and refineries.
Okay. And is you certified as a welder?
Yes, sir. Certified combination pipe welder.
Good. That's
I'll X-ray
many
weld.
years ago when I did construction work, that was a pretty high paying job. It's still a pretty high paying job?
Yes, sir, it is. It pays very well right now. And with the money I saved up from work release, I was going to get my CWI. I know you're familiar with that.
All right. We'll get there in just a second. Okay? Tell me a little bit about your family life. You have children?
Yes, sir. I got 3 children. Got a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 2-year-old. I got blessed with a very beautiful wife that loves me. And no matter what, she's never gave up on me and always believed in me. And my children also. It's a shame that I had to go through this to see how much I really mean to them.
What is it you've gone through? What do you mean it's a shame you had to go through this to realize what you got? What does that mean?
Well, it's bigger than myself, and I guess I'd say I was selfish, and And, I turned to drugs, started using drugs, and I put my family last, and I should have put them first. And I had to come here, sober up, and now I'm watching them from here and seeing what they mean to me. And
Okay, tell me a little bit about your drug use. You started using drugs,
yes, sir, I started using drugs in 2017.
and how old were you in 2017?
Probably about 32. 32.
You hadn't used drugs before then?
No, sir, that's my first time in 2017. My home got flooded in 2016 and 2017, and I picked up so much stress. I just didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even know I was having a breakdown. From me and my family, we didn't have nowhere to go, and just one thing after another. I remodeled my house in 2016, and I got flooded in 2017, and I just turned to drugs for some reason. I don't even.
So you think all your problems started in 2017, when you started doing drugs?
Yes, sir. My life, yeah, it got turned upside down.
Well, let's talk about that. I'm looking at your arrest record. You've got 23 arrests beginning in 2004. You were arrested in 2004 for theft of goods, 2005 for illegal possession of stolen things, drugs, carrying a concealed weapon. 2006 in Texas, you were arrested for theft. 2006, you were arrested for second-degree battery, sexual battery, and aggravated kidnapping and false imprisonment, although those charges were refused. 2007 in Texas, you were arrested on weapons charges. 2007, you were arrested in Texas for trespass. 2007, you were arrested for battery, illegal possession of stolen things, and theft. 2007, you were arrested for resisting arrest, public intimidation, and intoxication. 2008, you were arrested in Texas for evading arrest. 2009, you were arrested for first-degree feticide, domestic abuse, battery, and false imprisonment, even though those were refused. 2014, you were arrested for illegal possession of stolen things. 2014, you were arrested for theft. 2016, you were arrested for theft. And then in 2017, you started doing drugs. So what were you doing all those times? What caused you to commit all these other crimes?
Well, 2017, I started using meth, and before that,
Well, what about you started committing crimes in 2004?
yes, sir.
Why? Just because you were a criminal?
I was using Xanax when I got
Well,
out of high
that's not what you just told me. I asked you when you started using drugs, and you said in 2017, when you were 32 years old.
Yeah.
That was a lie. Why would you tell me that?
No, I wouldn't lie to you. That's when all this began, that I'm serving the time on. That's where I
Oh,
started.
not all this began. This began in 2004.
Yes, sir.
So why all the crime? When did you start using Xanax? Now we got Xanax. And I guess we're going to get to something else, and you'll tell me, oh, it was marijuana before that. So
Okay.
when did you start using Xanax?
In high school.
And how long were you using Xanax, and how often?
I was 18 years old, so 2003, 2004 till 2012. That's
So
when I
why
got
all the crime? I thought you had a great job. I mean, this job you got apparently is a good job, and you make a good deal of money.
Yes, sir.
Why all of this?
All right, well, 2000, when I started using Xanax, was when I was in my teenage years, and then I did some time in 2009 to 2012. When I got out in 2012, I taught myself how to weld, and from 2012 to 2017, I did good. I did great.
Well, you got arrested in 2014 twice. You got arrested in 2016. I mean, that's not great.
Yeah, I wasn't using drugs, and I ended up buying stuff, or I ended up buying things from people, and they happened to be stolen. They got in trouble and told on me. And
So with all of these arrests, your arrests in 2014 and 15 and 16, those were just mistakes because somebody didn't tell you that they had stolen things.
Yeah, I knew they were stolen. I was just buying things that I shouldn't have been buying.
All right. So you've been in jail now for 24 months. Is that right?
28
I think you
months.
said 28 months. 28 months.
Yes, sir.
So what programs have you taken to help you with your substance abuse?
I haven't took none.
Why not?
I I don't know, you have to ask, he works for us. I got letters right here where I tried to get in classes. I wrote several times and they wrote me back and told me I wasn't eligible for classes. I got the letters right here.
So what do you think you need to help you with this drug addiction?
Just a drug abuse class, I guess.
Did you ever try to get substance abuse on the outside? I mean,
Yes, sir.
how much were you making on your job? Welding.
Well, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
How much were you making as a welder on your job?
It's making $2,000 a week.
Did you ever try to get any kind of substance abuse treatment, or did you ever go to any sort of rehab place?
Yes, sir. I went to rehab in 2019, and after I finished rehab, I went to sober living. I stayed in sober living for a year.
And then what happened?
I went to meetings and I did everything. I worked the case plan, and then I ended up coming back to jail on the charges that I was arrested for.
Well,
in
how did
2019.
you end up coming back to jail?
Yeah, I got arrested in 2019 for the charges I'm doing my time on. I went to rehab. That was a part of the agreement. I bonded out and went to rehab, and went to sober living. And then I got sentenced after that, and I've been in jail ever since.
And you're in work release now, right?
Yes, sir.
Where are you working? What kind of work are you doing?
I'm a metal plate galvanizing plant. I'm a forklift operator.
You have a good term release date in September the 8th of 2024. And in your application, you indicated that you're not doing any classes because your work hours work around class hours. Is that right? There are classes, you're just not in them because you're in work release. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I would love to be in classes. I tried to get in classes, but I got, like I say, one of the staffs here now, she can read you the letter. It says I'm not, they would contact me when I was eligible. I've been trying to get in
Tell
classes.
me what sort of treatment do you think you need? Do you think you need to maybe inpatient treatment, long-term inpatient treatment might be able to help you with your drug issues?
Yes, sir. I've been sober for since October 2021. I had to outgrow myself and just had enough of it.
But you consider yourself a drug addict?
No, sir.
You're not a drug addict.
No, sir.
Started using Xanax and committed all these crimes. And then you started at 32 years old using drugs, and you're not a drug addict.
I feel like I'm not a drug addict because I stopped in 2021. I ain't had a problem since. I ain't thought about it. I've seen it many times, and people don't offer it to me, and I ain't had a problem.
All right, okay. Thank you. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Just one.
Yeah.
Mr. Wimberly, I've been scrolling through your criminal history, your arrest history. And I find it just very unusual for someone who claims to have a drug addiction to have so few arrests for drug offenses. Almost everything you have is property related, other than some other an arrest for a sex offense and some other things, but I don't see a whole lot of arrests for drug offenses. They're all a lot of property crime. And so, sometimes people are, you can have an addiction to a lot of things. Sometimes people have an addiction to stealing, have an addiction to money, have an addiction to lying. So it doesn't have to be drugs. Addictive behavior is addictive behavior. And I'm looking at all of the times you've been arrested for stolen property and possessing stolen property, and suggests to me that your problem is you have an obsession with stealing or with having possession.
Yes, ma'am. That's one thing. I do have an addiction personality, but I do have that problem. Yes.
So a treatment program can address not just substance abuse, but what other addictive behaviors. And I think you seriously have an addiction to stealing. I mean, it's just amazing to me how much stuff you're alleged to have stolen. You pled guilty to theft in excess of $25,000 in 2 of these charges. So you've been stealing a lot of stuff. And that's an addiction, and you need to understand that. So that's all I have.
Now we'll hear from your wife, Miss Wimberly, Miss Candace Wimberly. Miss Wimberly, are you there? So she's not there? Okay. All right. Mr. Wimberly, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wimberly. Mr. Wimberly, you know, as I look at your arrest history, as I look at the lack of programs that you've taken, you know, it just seems to me that you've got some issues. Whether it's an addiction to stealing or whatever it is. I mean, if what you are telling us about your drug addiction is true, you are a drug addict. You say, oh, no, I'm not a drug addict. I'm not so sure about I'm not so sure how honest you've been with this, frankly, because you started out, in my opinion, dishonest to me. You've got a good time release date of September the 8th of 2024. You're in a work release program. It doesn't appear that you're going to try to get out of that and go to any kind of classes. So I just hope that when you get out, you can try to stay straight. I don't know that you will or you won't, but you do have opposition. There is a long letter of opposition of all of the things that you stole from a particular person. So my vote today is to deny, but I'm just one of 3 votes. Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Wimberly,
Can I say something? Yeah, I would.
Voting right now.
no, I agree with Mr. Marabella. You've got an extensive criminal history. You have an addiction of some sort, whether it's to theft or to drugs, but that has not been addressed, so you've not had sufficient program. So my vote is to deny.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Wise?
Miss Wimberly, I believe you can do it. You got a loving family, you got some kids, but you have to go ahead and own it and then unpack it. And then you can refill and make yourself whole. But today my vote is to deny as well for the reasons already been stated on the record. Best wishes to you, sir.
You've got 3 votes to deny. Mr. Wimberly, good luck to you, sir.
Thank
We'll be closed. We're done there. We'll close out at Southwest.
I don't know. Is it just me? But did that guy give you a little bit of the willies? Something about him makes me nervous. He comes on kind of like with this big smile, and you're just like, wow, I wonder what. And yeah, he straight up lies to Mr. Marabella. And I'm so happy we had Mr. Marabella get this case. Hey, in these 3 hearings, we had Miss Jackson, Miss Wise, and Mr. Marabella. So we got to listen to all 3 and their different styles. And Mr. Marabella, this was a perfect for him because, of course, he was a drug court judge for like 900 years. And he says, oh, so you only started doing drugs in 2017. Really? And then so he goes down his arrest record. I think 16 arrests. I missed it. But he goes 2004, 2005, 2006, 2000, and it keeps going. And finally, after what seems like 5 minutes of rattling off these arrests, he says, and now finally in 2017, you've begun to do drugs. It's like, dude. And then he's like, oh, no. I would take Xanax. And I know Xanax can mess you up, but man, does it really make you into 16 arrests? I mean, if you're not doing other stuff, then Miss Jackson brings up, like, maybe you're addicted to stealing things. I don't know. And he seems to want to jump in that bandwagon. Like, I have an addictive personality. Well, if you have an addictive personality, you're probably addicted to a lot more than just stealing. I think his stealing was probably more of a product of his addictions than an addiction to stealing. But again, that's just, but to Miss Jackson's point, he didn't have like drug records in there, possession, intent to distribute that we normally see. Although he did have, what was really scary was the sexual battery, false imprisonment, and he had, I believe, he had 2 charges of that. 2 different charges over the course of different years. Both were dropped, but that only tells you probably that they were dropped because the person he did it to dropped it or didn't want to prosecute it, and the DA didn't want to do it for whatever reason. So he's, you know, and no, I did not feel good about it. And then when I heard those charges, I just, like, any kind of like part of me that might have been rooting for him was just gone. I know he wasn't convicted, but it's just maybe it solidified that kind of weird feeling I had about him. And I am happy to deny him. Another thing, he starts off by saying, "I'm so lucky for my family." He mentions his kids, and I think it's his wife. But where's his wife in this hearing? She's not here. So, and I you know what? If he's your husband and father of your children, that might get out of prison a couple years early, and you find a way to take to get on that Zoom call. So he could just be making all of that up too. She might be thrilled he's not coming back. He's lucky. He's on work release. He's making money. You can make good money on work release, and he'll get out soon. And it's interesting that we have seen the board in certain situations on work release give people the option to go to a program or leave work release. And I don't know, they didn't do that in this case. I don't know why. But anyways, yeah, we saw 3 different hearings. Please do the whole YouTube thing. Also, I've created a playlist. Maybe you're aware of it, but since this is multiple hearings, I created a playlist called Multiple Hearings. If you like this style, then you can go in there and see multiple hearings in one upload. And have a great week. With that, I'll let you go.